Dear students, I am Ravi Kumar B, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Global Academy of Technology, Bangalore. Today we'll have a topic on Module 5 from Total Quality Management, should be tools and techniques. Some of the tools and techniques we will discuss today. We now let us consider quality by design. The quality by design is also known as concurrent engineering or simultaneous engineering, or you can call as a parallel engineering. Quality by design principles are changing the way US managers think and conduct business. Usually, this is a recent additional to the list of techniques followed by various manufacturing companies to improve quality of the product. In this technique, many stages of the product development are handled simultaneously rather sequentially. This concept helps to reduce the product lead time and reduces production cost. Quality by design is the practice of using multidisciplinary team to conduct conceptual thinking, product design, and production planning at one time. The quality by design has recently encouraged changes in management structures. Usually, however, the sequential engineering, uh, however, in concurrent engineering, as the name itself suggests that different stages of product development are handled at the same time than in a sequential manner. Means, in this technique, a product is designed for its performance, manufacturability, testability, service, cost, quality, aesthetic appearance, assembly, assemblability, marketability, and reliability. In addition to these factors, like customer requirements, supplier requirements, and management issues are discussed and solved before prototype is produced. Hence, the failure of the final product is less likely to happen. Hence, the time to market and production lead time are shortened, yields customer satisfaction, and reduces the cost of production. So, what are the benefits of quality by design? The quality by design provides manufacturers with the tools and the communication and the management techniques required to develop products in a timely and cost efficient manner from the beginning and throughout a product line. So many benefits can be recorded by companies that have implemented this technique. The benefits are faster product development. Primarily this helps to reduce the production lead time and better quality. Quality of the product is better here and less work in progress promotes teamwork. That means fewer engineering change orders and increases productivity. One of the example, so General Electrical Company followed by this quality by design approach for the development of engine. It claimed to achieve 20 to 60% reduction in design and procurement cycle time during full-scale component test, which produce full engine testing. These are some of the benefits of quality by design. It's also we can called as concurrent engineering, or we can called as parallel engineering. So now let us you take one more topic, one more tool, failure mode and effect analysis. The failure mode and effect analysis, that is in short, it called FMEA, is an analytical technique that combines the technology and experience of people in identifying visible failure modes of product or process and planning for elimination. In other words, you can say FMEA, that is failure mode and effect analysis, can be explained as a group of activities. Let me explain group of activities. Usually, the it is an analytical technique that investigates the probable existence of potential failures within the design of product or process. A product or process can fail in many ways. That means when a product or process fails, its effects are multiple as lead to wastage of resources, reduced quality, lower morale of the worker, and a loss of market. Hence, this FMEA technique intends to identify and evaluate such failure modes and the effects of such failure modes, and also it identify and suggest such actions which can eliminate those failure modes and their effects. And also it identifies such critical parts whose failure will have more impact on the product or process. And calculations of probabilities of values of assemblies, eliminating or minimizing the adverse effects of failure, and it prepare a proper document for future references, and also it gives enhance good engineering and promote team dynamics, and reduce the product development time, and make the product more reliable, and make customer happy. That means FME is applied to a product or process after obtaining inputs from quality function deployment about the requirements of customer. When a new product or process is being tested, it needs thorough analysis before being used. That's why in FMEA is also applicable for improving the existing product or process or analysis of causes of failure of existing product or process. So FMEA is done by some of the following 14 steps that we stage of FMEA, failure mode and effect analysis. First step here, you have to select the process or product which requires FMEA. There is no need to conduct FMEA for every process or product. Select most critical product or process. In the first step, you have to select the process or product which requires FMEA. Second step, review the process. Set up a team with people from different functions. Review the process, set up a team with people from different functions. That is second step. It requires investigation from all functions. Hence, a multifunctional team is formed. In third step, breakdown of the system into subsystem and components. That means a product may fail in many ways due to any of the components. Hence, a system is divided into subsystems to identify which particular component is causing the trouble. Fourth step in FMEA is identify all possible failure modes through brainstorming. Without any prejudice, all possible modes must be explored here. It means identify all possible failure modes through brainstorming. Fifth step, identify the root cause of the failure. Identify the root cause of the failure. It will be the fifth step. And maybe using a Pareto chart can be used to identify root cause of the problem. Sixth step, list potential effects of these failure modes. List potential effects of these failure modes. And sixth step, here all consequences due to failure mode is listed. Failure modes will be listed here. In seventh step, assign severity ranking to the failure mode. So based on the severity of the failure mode, assign a rank as per norms. Assign a rank as per norms. Eighth step, assign severity ranking to the failure mode. Assign severity to the failure mode. And the eighth step, assign occurrence ranking of the failure mode. Assign occurrence ranking of the failure mode will be the eighth step. It will be based on the occurrence of the failure mode. Assign a rank as per norms. Ninth step here, assign detection ranking to the failure mode. Assign detection ranking to the failure mode. That is based on the detection of the failure mode, assign a rank as per the norms. Based on the detection of the failure mode, assign a rank as per norms. 10th step, calculate the risk priority number, that is RPN, for each effect. Usually the risk priority number is given by severity x, severity into occurrence into detection. Given by severity and occurrence into detection. 11th step, correct the high causes by prioritizing the failure modes. 11th step, correct the high risk causes by prioritizing the failure modes. That is the focus on high RPNs, that is risk priority number. That is, you have to give more focus for that. 12th step, take action to reduce or eliminate failure modes. Take actions to reduce or eliminate failure modes. That means to take the corrective actions by assigning work to suitable persons. Assigning work to the suitable person. In 13th step, you have to recalculate the RPN, that is risk priority number. Recalculate the RPN after taking corrective actions and repeat the process till the goal is reached. That is the 14th step. If the recalculated RPN is still a worrying factor, repeat the whole process to reduce the RPN number. This is what you are going to take. Fourth step, repeat the process till the goal is reached. That means you have to recalculate the RPM. Still, a worrying factor repeat the whole process to reduce the RPM further. Okay, this will be 14 steps to be followed in pilot mode and effect analysis. So let me another one term what you can call product liability. Product liability is sometimes a faulty or defective product can be sold to the customer. If we are going to sold to the faulty or defective product can be sold to the customer, the defect in the product can be dangerous and can be cause injuries to the user. In this case, the manufacturer of the product is liable to the customer to pay for any injuries or damage caused by the product. This concept you can call as product liability. This concept you can call as product liability. Okay? Any defect in the product can be dangerous or cause the injuries to the user or customer. So in this particular case, the manufacturer of the product is liable to the customer to pay for any injuries or damage caused by the product. This concept we can call as product liability. Usually, product liability is a part of law that is applied to all product manufacturing firms. Product liability allows the customer to file any legal complaint against a manufacturer who sold defective product to him or her. Examples of defects that could be result in product liability or pharmaceutical drug with inconsistent amounts of ingredients, a mobile phone that heats up quickly, a building built with a low quality construction material, etc. So some of the examples of defects that could result in product liability. Okay, and the next topic too is a total productive maintenance. A total productive maintenance is a fundamental to a productive manufacturing system. Try running a production line with faulty equipment. That means TPM is a unified approach used for equipment maintenance. It aims to make the production process free from breakdown, defect free, slowing down of the production line and setup time losses. And also it also aims to provide safe working conditions. It also aims to provide safe working conditions. That's why TPM, total productive maintenance, ensures everyone works together in the industry to achieve a peak performance and productivity. And productivity. The main that be the should be understood that total productive maintenance is an extension of total quality management. The extension of total quality management. That means while TQM serves to make a quality a part of the whole industry, and TPM tries to make maintenance a common practice in industry, because maintenance becomes a habit for everyone when TPM is implemented. So main objectives of the TPM is to achieve defect-free production, make maintenance simple and easy, develop a sense of ownership for workers, encouraging participation for everyone in the industry, achieve peak production and productivity, achieve continuous improvement. Achieve continuous improvement. The so will be the total productive maintenance. That means the total productive maintenance is keeping the current plant and equipment at the highest productive level through cooperation of all areas of the organization. The overall goal of TPM are maintaining equipment for life, maintaining and improving equipment capacity, and it will be using support from all areas of the operation, encouraging input from all employees, using team for continuous quality improvement. Usually, the TPM is achieved with the help of 5 A's, that is theory, sort, sit-in, set in order, SISU, shine, Sukesto, standardize, and Shitsuku, that will be sustain. That is 5 years make the foundation for total productive maintenance program. That way it will TPM begins by making setting everything in order in right place, meet and TD. What are some 8 pillars of the total productive maintenance? First one is you have to focused on improvement. Second one, autonomous maintenance. Autonomous maintenance makes works responsible for maintenance of machine they work with. Third pillar in the maintenance, Japanese language. It means third one pillar will be plant maintenance. Plant maintenance, we follow proactive methods to avoid breakdown than firefighting. And the fourth one, training and education. It's one of the major pillar that be training and education. Training and education is an integral part of total productive maintenance. Fifth pillar, early management. That means since total productive maintenance is proactive in nature, the entire TPM program is planned early and executed in time to avoid confusion and doubt. And the quality and next will be the quality is the most preferred aspect by everyone in total productive maintenance. This is one of the major pillar. That means it is achieved by providing a defect-free production process. And safety, health, and environment will ensure zero accident, zero damage to the maintenance and effectively.